Run after your destiny. Do not stroll, do not walk, do not meander, do not wander, but roll after your destiny. Because there are some things in your life that will make you run. There are certain things that will happen in your life that make you pick up the pace. That slap you out of your stupor and say, this ain't no time to cry. The one thing I can tell you for sure is that nothing is for sure. That's the one thing I can tell you to count on is don't count on anything. That life will often disrupt what you expected. That just as soon as you have it down in a nice, neat little box of how you think it's going to go, and that when I walk down here, this is what is going to happen, by the time you get there, it will never be what you expected it to be. So you got to get used to being a little disappointed. You got to get used to being a little bit shocked. You got to get used to walking into situations and being flexible and adjustable. Because if you are not flexible, you cannot survive. And all of a sudden, life demands that you pick up the pace. Life demands that you pick up the pace. If you don't pick up the pace, you're going to be left behind. I would rather aim for the stars and not hit them than to not aim at all. I would rather go after it and not get it than not go after it at all. I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. I don't want to live with the idea, wonder what would have happened had I done more with my life. I'm going to go for it, come hell or high water. I'm going after my destiny. You got to run after your destiny. You can't stroll after your destiny. You can't walk after your destiny. You got to run. You got to run after your destiny. You got to run after it. You got to run after your destiny. 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 You got to run after it. You got to run. If you run after your destiny, you will automatically distance yourself from your history. If you just run after what's in front of you, you will escape what's behind you. Don't spend all your time trying to fix what's behind you, because you'll never be able to fix what's behind you. You have to run after what's in front of you. There are some people who went further than I did because they ran when I was playing. They paid attention in class when I was playing. They were studying when I was partying. Success is never an accident. And if you don't want it, get out of my way. Because there are some people who want to do something with their life who will run. Because there are some things in your life that will make you run.
It's time to rewire your mind. Welcome to the Hayden Russo Show, the show that provides you with inspiration to help you succeed in life. Here's your host, Hayden Russo.
TalkZone.com. Woo! And this is the Hayden Russo Show. We're going to start this thing out and let you know that Talk Zone is here. It's not enough people calling. I told you to call Gene Stern here on Talk Zone. What are you waiting for? I told you that anything that you want to do, you can do. Anything that you want to be, you can be. Are you serious? You want to be a talk show host? Call Gene Stern here at TalkZone.com, 800-743-1988, extension 203. And if you don't tell Gene I sent you, I have a personal problem with that. We're trying to jazz it up here on Talk Zone. We trying to live it up and give you a different kind of spice. Give you a different kind of flavor. Give you something that you can relate to, something you can rely on, something that can be inspirational and educational. And don't get me going. Are you serious? That's the cliche of the show. It should be already embedded in your mind. And my name is Hayden Russo. I'm here to captivate your mind. I'm here to teach you and educate you and hopefully learn something from you. But I have a problem with the audience. Lately, it seems that the more hot the topic get, you guys don't want to call in. If you're afraid, this is not the show. This is a show that you need to brave up, man up, buckle up, woman up, prop up. If you're a woman, whatever it is to you, look, I don't want to leave anyone out. If you're bisexual, you and your partner, your significant other, whatever it is your sweet, whatever it is your flavor, whatever is your tweet, I am here to be with you. So why are we around here crying about trying to get over 1,000 listeners? Are you serious? I'm combining two different platforms to make that. On average, it's 800 on Talk Zone. Are you serious? I don't have time for that. Let me get into the show. Look, anything else around here would be an epidemic if it was any kind of failure at 90%. Okay? Some things we should be going after the same way we went after bin Laden. The same way we went after Hitler or anyone else that think that they can be a Hitler. Ooh, I have to catch myself because we have pastors that listen to the show and we have kids that listen to the show. So if I ever slip on this show, please forgive me and constantly pray for me because I am trying to do my best. Okay, but on the same topic and look, you gave the banks a bailout because they were failing at 90%. Are you serious? You bailed out mortgage companies because they were failing at 90% and you use our money to do it. You use the taxpayers' dollars to save banks and mortgage companies. And don't get me going. Enron couldn't be saved. Some of the banks couldn't be saved. There was a lot of failures. And I don't even want to get into the conversation. That's a whole nother topic. But if you didn't have the relationships at the top, and if you was a community bank, they screwed the community bank to take care of people like Wells Fargo, who didn't really participate, but participated because the money was free. Bank of America and the rest of them. That's a whole nother show. We're not on that. So let's get completely away from that and let me stay focused as Miss Kelly and my wife and Miss Sonia and some of the other folks would say. Okay? We have an epidemic on our hands. It is serious. It's more important than bin Laden because it's affecting not only us, it's affecting our kids, it's affecting the country, it's affecting our humanity, it's affecting our culture, it's affecting the animals, it's affecting the plants, it's affecting everything around us. And you wondering what the heck I'm talking about. It's about marriage. It's about making a commitment. It's about understanding yourself. But guess what? You shouldn't be thinking about getting married. You shouldn't be thinking about being a father. You shouldn't be thinking about being responsible for any other human being, whether you're a mentor or whether you some volunteer or whether you just thinking about what it is that you want to do. Don't be responsible for anyone until you want to be responsible for yourself. Don't want to take on any challenge of anyone, of any of the human species, or even an animal for that thought. If you don't know who you are, if you're not confident within yourself, if you can't deal with life on all of its circumstances, when life punch you in the mouth and hit you with an uppercut and sock you in the stomach and kick you in your testicles, I don't care if you're a woman or a man, that hurts. So until you can learn how to be within yourself and become new things within yourself and be able to understand who you are within yourself. What do you mean by that, Hayden? When I was 16 and I got incarcerated and I said to myself that nothing would change my life, nothing would get in my way. When I stepped on the prison soils, I said, this would not be me. This would not define who I am. This would not be my life. I would overcome the circumstances. I would take on and I would jump on. Devil, you brought me to jail? Now, I'm being honest with y'all. This me talking to myself, to the devil. And I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. So just imagine me talking to the devil for about 30 seconds here. You brought me to jail? Are you serious? I tell you what I'm going to do. God, give me the strength to tap on this MF. Give me the strength to wallow on him. Give me the strength to just kick him and beat him down, because this is the last day you will ever be a part of my life in this kind of way, in a shape, form, or fashion. I would not allow you to take captive of me. I would allow you to take captive of my mind. I got people. I got a child I didn't even know that was named after me. While I came incarcerated and I left a woman to take care of a child, which was a boy, and to be the woman and the man. How can you do that when God took the rib of a man to make a woman, so that the man could be whole, so that the woman can turn the neck, because she has the smartness to take control of us and show us where to go, because most of the time the man think waist down. Are you serious? I'm telling you. And then guess what? I told you. All right? Listen, if you want to go back to the shows, that's why I'm here on Talk Zone. You want to go back to the other shows? You can go back and you can download them. You can hold me accountable. I talked on sex. Okay? I talked about what it is to be on each side of sex, whether it's prostitution or whether it's you buying sex. I talked about that on Talk Zone, on the Hayden Russo show, and you can hold me accountable. But no, you said you didn't know what it was about. You didn't know what the shows was going on. Why you choosing all these different topics? I tell you what, for the people that is married, okay, you can make some sense of it, okay? Because if you don't love you, there's no way you can love your kids. If you don't love you, if you're conniving, if you dirty, if you trifling, if you stink, if for the white folks and some of the other folks that don't know what stink and don't know what some of this other stuff trifling mean, that means that you have no honor, you have no commitment, you have no regards or morals to other people's feelings, to other people's lives. You'll step on them to make $1. This is not me. I refuse to be that type of person. And instead of you understanding when you praying to God or some other higher power, or for the atheists, I don't know what you think of, but God loves you, and there's some kind of God for you. Whether you're a Buddhist, a Christian, I don't care, a Catholic, I don't care what it is. When you pray to that person, okay, and you say, oh God, I want the diamond rings like Diana Ross, Madonna. I want rings like Elvis Presley. Are you serious? Listen, when you say what you want and you ask God what it is that you need, he gives you the cold and gives you the pressure and chisel you and cut you and make you into a diamond. So understand that you are who you are, and you will be what you want to be, and you will take on life challenges. You will not be like what I've told you, that 90% of all senior citizens are worth $5,000 or less. I would not make this a conversation. But then I also told you that if you married would give you the abundance of life. Marriage would give you the opportunity to live to 100. I told you, even you guys, as I call, excuse my French, Dave, the little short guys. I told you to go work out so that you could pump your little Peter, your little pee-pee. I tried to educate you that you use what you have. God gave you what you have because it's like giving you the cold. It's like giving you the pressure. Okay? When you ask God for a diamond, he don't give you the diamond. He gives you the ingredients, and he gives you the necessary tools and the resources so that you can generate and create the diamond. A marriage is not some toy. A marriage is not something that you go spend $1 million on and go rent your own island. And for all you celebrities, go out there and spend $3, $4, $5 million and buy your big old rocks. You know better than any of us. You know better than the average human being. You know better than me. But guess what? You have a lot of people that worship you. You have a lot of people that look at you. You have a lot of people that want to be you, want to be your inspiration, want to have your talents, want to do the things that you do. But guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, you have never heard this before. I don't care who you are. If you married, if you're a celebrity, if you're successful, the average divorce rate for successful people is 90%. 90%. And if this was 90% of anything else, we'll call a world war. And the president would say that this is a national security threat. We'll move it to DEFCON 1. 90% of anything. 90% of anything. Ain't no way you can let 90% of anything continue in this society and do nothing about it. Why? The question is, you should be asking yourself, why the government, the big brother, they involved in everything else, why they're not involved in marriage? Because why? Marriage create confusion. Marriage create problems. Marriage create kids. Marriage create money problems. Marriage create all kind of unforeseen problems that you wouldn't want to be a part of. Marriage is for the people that will put aside all the things in their lives, that will put aside all the things that their wife done wrong. And although I've never been involved in a situation where my wife has cheated on me, and with 90%, I hope that I'm within the 10%, and I don't know, and I don't care, and my heart have never given me any indication that I am any part of the 90%. But if I am in the 90%, how do I overcome and adapt? Because if my wife has slipped up on me, is it worth me ruining my kids' future? Ruin the values and ruin their lives. I've seen on all platforms the divorce rates amongst rich people is extremely high. The divorce rate for very rich people is over 60%. And although they're not athletes, and although they're very rich or the super rich, 60% of something is still an epidemic. It's something that we all should be trying to strive for and trying to find a way to overcome. So I don't know how I will accomplish this in the next 35 minutes or so. I will try to help you to understand marriage. I will try to help you to understand divorce and how to overcome divorce and how to have a better marriage on either side. We'll try to do anything that we can to help you. And Dave, if you wouldn't mind getting an Eclipse C for me, I greatly appreciate it.
how to compose music and read music by Braille. He could read music by Braille, and he could write music by Braille. So he wasn't just some gifted blind person who could play. He was intelligent. He was intellectual. He was gifted. He was creative. He could read and write and compose music. And even though he couldn't see, and he lost the benefit of one of those devices that bring information to his sensory receptors, he began to rely on his invisible, the 10 billion sensory receptors to gather information through other channels. Interestingly enough, he said something that was so harmonious with my message, I thought I would include it. He said that even though he had gone blind at 7, at 5 years old, he'd seen his brother drown to death in a small basin of water. And by 7, he'd gone blind, if I remember correctly. And by the time he was 12 or so, both his parents were dead. He was blind. He'd seen a murder, and his life was off and seemingly out of control. And music became an outlet for his spirit and for his soul. And he says, even though he couldn't see, he could hear the imagined music in his head so strongly that when he got ready to compose a piece, he says he didn't need a piano. He could compose an entire piece in his head because the accuracy of the music he heard in his head was more real to him than the music he played with his fingers. So what's going on in your head often can become more real than what's going on in your life. Well, how do we get this information? We get this information through conditioning, through imagination, through suggestions, through implications, and all of this affects who we are and how we function as individuals. Are you following what I'm saying? And so by the time you meet somebody, and you particularly those of you who meet these people, I always get tickled at the people who meet somebody and think they're going to change them. See, what you're up against, there's all of these images that have bombarded these people before you met them. So I want you to take a few notes. I want you to write down images. Because images are everything. These persons are filled with images. Before they have books or notebooks, newborn babies are filled with images. They're gathering all of this information about life and about relationships and about circumstances. The moment they're born into the world, they're assessing things, people going and coming. It's a proven fact that when you put infants in rooms with bright colors, it makes their mind brighter. Certain types of music causes them to be more intellectually acute. All of that because they're using their senses to gather all of this information, and they have all of these images, all kinds of images that are affecting who they are. And images have a lot to do with how you are programmed and how you are wired and how you're functioning.
Let me explain to you and digress for a moment before I continue on why I played the clip and why we would continue to move on with this clip. And we may be off a little bit today, but we want to give you a more positive show with less commercials because we have an epidemic on our hands that needs to be addressed. The reason that I say that you need to understand you and become you and know you before you can help anyone else, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone. You can't help anyone. And a marriage is about compromise. Marriage is about saying that, okay, I have a pretty wife with stank breath. I have a good husband with big feet and ugly hands, and he got a big scar on his back. I have a wife that has a scar on her legs and a mole on her cheek and a big scar on the neck. You don't marry people because of what they look like or what they feel like or what they could do for you. You marry them because of how they help you to educate and help you reproduce your mind and help you to get to a high life. You want to become a connection of one. You're not marrying someone for some type of individuality or some type of, you don't marry a person because they have sex with you good. It has to be more than sex. It has to be more than making babies. Because the babies has to be attended to and taken care of. Marriage is about a oneness and a connection to say, I want to grow old with you. I want to take on life challenges with you. And when you don't love me, I will love you until you begin to love me back, until the love come back. I will sacrifice my life. Let me explain to y'all guys. Listen, when I decided to get married, God, I love my mom and I love my siblings, but no one wanted to come to my wedding because I had reconnected with my wife, my existing wife from high school, and they couldn't believe that two people can get together and love one another within 9-10 months and say they want to marry each other. But because we fell into what we thought everybody else should think, we waited 2 years before we got married. And now I've been married for 14 years. But I want to tell you something. The women are conditioned completely different. Women are taught from 5 and up on how to be married and how to be trained to be married and what to do to cook and how to be a married woman. Guess what? When we're growing up as men, we're not taught none of these things. And if you caught playing house with a girl, man, your reputation in any hood, I don't care whether you on the higher up or anything, you're going to be lost. But I want to let you into a little secret when I got married. And I'm so grateful that it happened to me that I have no regrets. But, I'm one of those guys that think that, when, you go to bed at 9 o'clock, but you don't go to sleep at 10. So that means that you need to put in enough work between 9 and 10 to be able to sleep at 10. If you understand where I'm coming from, you need to go long and go for the deep ball for the men that can relate to what I'm speaking of. However, on that particular night when I got married, we was on the ocean. We had a high rise. We were out on the balcony, and 30 seconds, I was done. I pooped out. And my wife said that this was not what she expected. But then there's a lot of times that we need to be careful of when we praying to God to have a marriage that will help us to live close to 100 or above, that will help us to bond with one another, that would help us to love one another, that will help us to become one. To become the person where the man is the body, but the woman is the head, and together they make one. And there's no pittiness and there's no sadness because the woman is giving you knowledge that is beneficial to the family. There's no animosity that the woman is making more money than the man, or the woman has to work longer and you have to stay home longer than the man. Be comfortable in your skin. Be comfortable in your marriage to know that your woman will take care of you and will be responsible to you when you expect more, by demanding more and earning more. And how do you earn more? Is not sleeping with every one of her friends. It's not going out and hanging out with the fellas when she's cleaning up. It's joining in and cleaning up. If you're like me, and I get back to the first night of my marriage on the hotel room, but if you're like me, I want the dirtiest part of the house. I want the nastiest part of the house. I want the bathroom. I want the kitchen. I want to be up underneath the cabinets. I want to be scrubbing. I want to be above. I want to be the dust guy. I want to be the guy that's responsible to make sure that no one in my household is getting sick because I'm keeping a clean environment. I'm washing clothes. I'm ironing clothes. I'm cooking for my family. Yeah, it's a lot of fine girls that's just saying that, ooh, baby, I do a little bit better for you. Yeah, but if I do it better with you, guess what? At 8, 9 o'clock, I got to bounce. So for 4 or 5 hours, you can program my mind and tell me anything that you want. You can tell me anything that I need to try to break my marriage up. I have no business being with you, but guess what? If you have me for 4 or 5 hours and you're telling me everything that I want to hear, you may program me so that I leave my wife, and then when I come with you, I find that you're no better than my wife. I had no business leaving my wife, and because I left my wife, which I can't go back to, and for some of you guys, when you make a mistake, you do end up marrying the same woman twice again. But in this particular situation, for the ones that can never get back, I can't go back to my wife. Why can I can't go back to my wife? Because I chased this young girl that I thought that was on my level, that I thought that would take me to another level. And then when I got her, she depended on me, and then thought that all she could do is sex me all day and didn't have to do anything else, and that life would be better for us. And then what we find out after I realized that I made a mistake and that this girl cannot help me, that she's just a kid. And guess what? Yeah, she's a kid because you 45, you 50, and she's 20. Why you don't have a 40 and plus year old? No, you don't want one of them because you think they damaged good and they can't help your mind and they can't help you grow. But guess what? They're what God sent to you. But guess what? Going back to that night when I asked God that I wanted to be married and I wanted to grow old with my wife and I wanted to have dentures. I wanted to have moles on my back. I wanted to have moles on my head and hickeys on my neck, but I wanted to be by my wife. That's why I write every morning. I love sleeping next to my wife. And although I made a lot of mistakes, listen, I was incarcerated when I was 16. So guess what? I never had a chance to sow my wild oats. Guess what? My wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, she stuck there with me. She never gave up on me. She gave me an opportunity to grow. And I grew up into a man. And I said, guess what? Because you allowed me to grow up into a man, please marry me. But guess what? When I asked her to marry me, I told her to take her time. And if the life was moving too fast for her, if the universe was just moving just a little too quick, don't do it, because you got a real man. Don't hang up on me. Don't quit on me. Please believe in me. Dave, if you want mine, continue playing that clip for me.
God preaches. He goes into your ear through hearing the word of God so that he could bring about a change in your life. Images. And the images that you have seen have all the world to do with who you are right now. Are you following what I'm saying? And we're dealing with some real change because we get images from the people we see, and those images become familiar to us. If you're raised in a house where people fight and argue all the time, and even though you don't like it, that becomes normal. And you have to watch what your normal is, because whatever is normal to you, as you grow up, you will automatically gravitate to what was normal, even though you didn't like it. And intellectually, you've read and been taught that this is wrong. But if it's normal to you, you will gravitate to it because it doesn't feel right until it gets back to the images that you had at early ages. So no matter how good of a wife or no matter how good of a husband you are, if somebody else has those images in their mind of what normal is, they will pull at you and provoke you to fight them, because when you fight them, they feel a familiar environment, and it correlates with the images that they grew up with. I used to think that when you married somebody, you married them. You didn't marry their relatives. I told my wife this big old spiel. I said, I'm not marrying your kinfolks, and you're not marrying mine. I'm not marrying your mama, and you're not marrying mine. I'm not marrying your siblings, and you're not marrying mine. It's me and you against the world. It sounded so good. It was real romantic. It was real nice. I had my arm around her when I said it, Michael. I was breathing in her ear. I dropped my voice down to about there. And it was, I'm telling you, it was a wonderful thing. Biggest lie I ever told in all of my life. When you marry somebody, you marry everybody. You marry all the kinfolks, all the relatives, everything they've ever been through, everything they ever did, all of how they define love is all thrown into the bag. So when two people say, I love you, no, I love you, but both of us are saying two different things based on the images that we had all of our lives.
The images that are in our minds. Girls are growing up learning how to be a wife, be a significant partner, for whether, if they're in the same sex marriage. Okay? And for you guys that's out there that's wondering why two women will marry each other and would rather, Dave, I'm trying to keep it clean, but keep your bleep sensor on. Why women would want to play with toys than feeling something nice and hard and throbbing that can hold them and squeeze them back. And although a woman can hold and squeeze back, they can't grab you like a man. They can't thrust you like a man and drive into you like a man. No toy can be a man. But guess what, men? You don't understand. You have not learned that it's not about what they look like. It's about their mind. It's about their emotions. It's about the things that they're thinking about. It's about feelings and understanding and touch and emotions and the sensories. I told you guys that, and I made a mistake last week. I told you that you were looking at 2 million bits of data. You looking at 2 billion bits of data at any time. You have over 100 billion neurons and 100 trillion mechanisms that's firing electrical signals at over 270 miles an hour. And look, I'm learning new things, and I'm learning that your mind has a map that it creates and control every part of your body from ear to ear. And I've been trying to tell you to stop watching TV and listening to the news and listening to the bad information. And I didn't know why I was telling you this. But the more I learn and the more I study and understanding that the maps are ear to ear, I'm learning that you have to control what you hear and stop marrying people for what you think they are. You knew before you married them that they were not to your standards. You married them for the wrong reason, whether you married them for their money or their statue. And stop thinking that y'all can change people. I don't care who you are. I don't care how bad you are. I don't care whether you're a dime or whether you're a 6 or whether you're a 3. You can't change anybody. I don't care whether you think you could give them oral or whatever it is that you think that you can change their mind. The mind is no different than a footprint. No different than your thumbprint. Your mind has its own individual fingerprint. No mind is the same. Stop trying to change people. Find someone that is in connection with you, that understands you, that is your best friend, that wants to go with places that you want. And when you mad, they're happy. And if you both mad, they're saying that I'll take the torch and I'll hold on until you get your love back. But I continue to kiss your feet. I continue to wash your clothes. I continue to bring you lunch. I continue to deal with your nagging friends. I continue to deal with the soap operas that you like talking to me about. But guess what? At the same time, it's creating negative images in your mind. It's creating a fake fantasy, a fake marriage that does not exist, only exists on soap operas, only exists in some fantasy land. And remember that you are being programmed in some la la land with 7 dwarfs and the Disney comedies and all of the various things. You have to take control back of your imagination and understand that a man is going to make mistakes. And although I don't have these issues of some of the men that's had where they're looking at TV and they say, "Ooh, God, she's fine." Listen, guys, I flirt all the time with my wife. I remember one time I was going in the courthouse and I was surrounded, going through the metal detector by a whole bunch of women. This was the time when the economy was going down, and for some apparent reason, it seemed that more women had jobs than men. Why? Because women seem to be more responsible and on time and don't play like little boys and get in their feelings. They can take it and suck it up, because guess what? Let me give you an example. Although I might want my wife to forgive me if I cheated on her, I might not be able to do the same thing if she cheated on me. I might not be. I start thinking, oh my God, was it bigger than mine? Did he do it better than me? Can he provide more than me? What's wrong with me? What did I do? Is something wrong with me? If you get caught up in these things, if you happen to get married and you get divorced, God forbid, I would hate to see you get divorced. I've been married for 14 years and I'm happy, but I'm telling you, it didn't get happy by any mistakes. I remember one time I took all my clothes out and my wife didn't understand what I was doing, and I got upset and I got into this thing thinking that the company was going down because my wife got a job. No, my wife got a job because things had taken a turn, and she was tired of us not eating. She was tired of us asking people to borrow $50, $30, $100, not to put gas in the car. No, just so that we can eat. And she wanted a better life for us. And then all she was saying to me was that I would go get a job, and I was stuck on saying no. I got married to you because I wanted to make sure that you didn't have to work another day in your life. But guess what? Just because it was a dream, I didn't understand that God was going to give me some trials and tribulations to build me on the success and to help me to build my foundation so that I can be strong. I didn't understand that God was making sure that the first night that I got married to my wife, that her dream of what a marriage should be and my dream of what a marriage should be. For example, let me break it down for you. Her dream of growing up saying that Cinderella left a shoe and somebody came and found her and took care of her for the rest of her life. Okay. And gave her all the good sex that she could have in her life. Okay, and then from my standpoint, I'm thinking that I'm getting married. It's legal. I got a woman that I can have sex with for the rest of my life, anytime that I want to, how I want to, anywhere I want to. But guess what? I did not realize that what God was teaching me and what God was doing for me and my wife at that moment was helping us to set up a foundation that would help us to be married for 14 years, together for 2, if we count the time that we was playing around in high school, would add some additional time. God has helped us through these things while we have watched countless of actors and successful people, wealthy, rich people getting divorced at a high rate of over 90%. And we watch other individuals around us the success rate of divorce of over 60%. We have been able to manage and hold on and to be strong. And when we come back after we continue playing this clip, when we come back, I start helping you to understand that just because you may have gotten a divorce and you may not still be married like me, life doesn't stop, because while we're doing all these things, we do have some precious little ones, kids, that we need to think about. And we'll get more into that when we continue after this clip. Continue playing that clip C for me, Dave.
And so there's been, from generation to generation, we pass down gain or lose images. As we expose our generations to different things, we come out with different results. And we're playing around with stuff that we don't even know what we're doing. And we're creating things that we can't handle. If you look back over the last 3 or 4 generations, we've gained a lot of things, but we've lost a lot of things. We've lost some direction and some focus and some commitment and some character that our grandparents had that it's hard to come by today. Few of us have it, but not many of us got it. They passed on to us their wealth or their blessings, but many times they didn't pass on to us their struggle. And many times it was the struggle that made them who they were. Are you hearing what I'm saying? In fact, those of you that are finally pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and you want to hand something off to your kids to make them great, and so you hand them a bunch of money and you hand them a lot of great stuff, I am a living witness. That is not the best thing to hand them. Hand them your struggle. It's not what you give to them, it's what you leave in them that determines who they will become. Teaching them to think right and to feel right. When I grew up, they were singing love songs like, you once a thief. Everybody over 30 said twice, 3 times a lady. When a man loves a... You are so... And we grew up with these romantic notions. Everything was romance. Everything was romance. Everything was romance. That was how we were conditioned, particularly women. Women are really conditioned for romance. While little boys are out just playing around, running over the hill, won't bathe and being obnoxious, little girls are practicing for marriage. Susie homemakers, I know I'm dating myself, the younger kids don't know what I'm talking about, practicing, cook stoves and everything, they're getting ready. At 5, they're getting ready. They're getting ready. You want some tea? Come and have some tea with me. We're playing house. If you got a little boy that's playing house, I'm not saying anything. See, you filled in the blank. See, that's why men struggle with certain things, because we are actually told not to play what you later want us to play.
Marriage is about going through struggles. Marriage is about allowing your kids to see your struggles, to see your pain, to see the things that you go through, to help make sure that you're helping them strive to their mission, their understanding, their goals, and for them to help their minds. Some of the things that you can do is understand your mind. Going to YouTube and put in the search bar human mind. Just listen to some of the things. Begin to create an open relationship for the married people, and we'll begin to start talking to how to overcome divorce, because I'm running out of time. Is for the people that are married, just continue allowing your spouse to have an open, objective mind. If she goes to a restaurant and say, "Ooh, he's cute," I say, "Okay, yeah, he got a nice body. I can see that. You like him, sweetheart? You look like you might want to do him." And she's like, "Nah, oh yeah, baby, I see a little glee in your eye." And I joke with my wife and I play around. And although I'm just playing around, we'll never go back to that restaurant. Because although it's imagination, I will never want to perpetuate it, because the possibility is it would come true. Okay? But when you get a divorce, the world is not over. Life is not over. Okay? For all of the rich guys that think that because you're buying your ex-wife a nice mansion and you're giving her a maid and paying for it, no one can replace you. Your kids will never be able to see your struggles. Money does not help people to see struggles. It creates a fallacy of a la-la land. Okay, and for all of the individuals that are not multimillionaires, if you don't earn an income above $75,000, you're average like me, which is almost 80 to 90% of the people. And our divorce rate is like 60%. And how can you reduce that rate? Stop looking at your wife and saying that what can't be done. Help her clean up, help her to cook, help her to help take care of the kids, take the kids to school. Stop playing with your boys and come home and spend time with your family. But if you get divorced, don't take it personal against your ex-wife. Come to some conclusion with her that no matter how much that you and her have a disagreement, we have kids to raise. And although rich people will live in the same mansion, but they'll live in different rooms, it's good for the kid because they're still within the same house. But if the love is fake, the kid would sense it and they would begin to play the parents against each other. So for the kids that are listening to the show that may be a part of some kind of divorce or some breakup relationship where your mother and your father are not together, don't try to play the mother or the father against each other. Be strong. Support the father. Support the mother. And if you're the father or the mother, support each other. Say good things about each other. Don't say anything negative about each other. Don't do that to the kids, and don't do that to anyone else. Because you're hurting yourself. Forget the kids. Forget your ex-wife. Forget your ex-significant other. You're hurting yourself when you won't allow yourself to overcome and heal yourself. I told you guys, the brain is not allowed to die. The body was not allowed to die. The brain was allowed to live a million years. And if you go in the Bible, you'll find it where everybody was living 1,000 years, and now we're averaging living 80 to 100 years. It's because of what we're thinking of our images in our minds and the things that are going on in our mind. And Dave, if you wouldn't mind continue playing that clip, I would greatly appreciate it.
And then at the ripe old age of 20, 21, 22, 23, some dumb, unbeknownst young man struggles out of the pastor's suite and stands in front of a preacher, and the preacher now looks at him and says, do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, until death do you part? That dummy doesn't know what he's saying. He's just worried about getting the nerve to say it. His knees are shaking. Sweat is breaking out on his forehead. His mama's looking at him. Everybody's gathered from everywhere. His tux is too tight, and he squeaks out, I do. I do. I do. He doesn't know what he did. He doesn't know what he did. He puts a ring on her finger. She puts a ring on his finger. They're off to the... He don't know where he's going. In fact, if he's been conditioned anything about relationship, it's been sex. So his 10 billion sensory receptors are saying, free, legal, sanctified, God-ordained sex whenever I want it. Don't have to hide it. Don't have to be ashamed of it. You mine. She's thinking, he held me in his arms. We rode off into the sunset. We gathered in the whispering winds of the evening light. And as we embarked upon the mission of life, and he's saying, I want to do something.
A man just want to just take care of their family and want to provide for their family. And although the lower half of the thing that might be beneath our stomach, we like keeping it satisfied and rich. God gave us that sense and gave us that understanding. That's why we want to do something. But I want to help you, and I want to help you understand that no matter what happens in a divorce, your job is to create movement. Your job is to help yourself, and your job is to rebuild and understand that although you might have had an old marriage, you can create a new you. You can find a new person. But until you love yourself to overcome the person within, you can never overcome that person that you left. It is not your fault that you feel the way that you feel because you got a divorce. It's not your fault. You got a divorce that you going through your struggle. It is your fault. I apologize. I said that wrong. It is your fault that you got a divorce. It is your fault that you're going through a struggle because you got a divorce and you facing some financial difficulties and your kids is struggling to eat. But guess what? You need to create movement. You need to jump on the situation. You need to tackle it. You need to start just doing anything. Find you a job. Find you 2 jobs. No matter how much they're paying you right now. Create movement. The first job might pay you $4 an hour. Then you find the next job that pay you $12 an hour. And then before you know it, you find a job that's paying you $30 an hour or $60 an hour or more, because you did not allow your divorce to become your new you. You became the new you because you said that although he divorced me, God was telling me that was not the ingredient for me. So the ingredient for me is coming in the future. And if that means another marriage, if that means that I'm going to be a boyfriend, if that means that I'm going to shack up for the rest of my life, whatever God got planned for me, that is my plan. However, I would not relish on anything or wish any harm on my ex-husband or my ex-wife. I wish them happiness because I have a child with that person and a connection with that person and a DNA with that person that I cannot change. No matter who I bring into my young man's life, they cannot be like the father that is the semen that produced the life, or the woman that conceived the child that brought the life into existence. We have to continue to fight, but we will not dwell on the old things. And although we will wish our child the best and we will help and hope that the relationship with their father and the mother would be best, but we would also create and foster a new beginning for us, and we would allow God to give us a new person into our life so that we can grow. And we would, if we get married again, that's fine. We will get married again. We would not say that we would never get married again, because what our old marriage did, create a new you, create a new destiny. Begin to create new vision by going to new places. Get rid of your old friends and create 5 new friends. Reach up. Have some type of understanding. And don't allow anyone to become you. And Dave, if you wouldn't mind continuing that next clip for 60 more seconds, I greatly appreciate it.
The automatic feeling here that I almost guarantee you 70% of the women I have in this room is right. She's saying, you know, that's right. She's saying, you know, that's right. And he needs to be straightened out, because he needs to realize what his responsibilities are in this relationship. And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry he didn't get the training, but that's why I'm so glad he's here this morning, so that maybe Bishop can straighten him out, so that he can finally become the man that I imagine.
You know, I want to thank you guys for coming to the show. Understand that divorce will not end the situation. Divorce does not define the new you. Let the new person be you, the person from within. Allow your divorce to help you to grow and to be the new person, and help your kids to live a life that beyond their wildest dream with their father or the mother that you divorced. I want to thank you for listening to the Hayden Russo Show on TalkZone.com. I hope that we've been inspirational, satisfaction, and dedication to you, and helping you to improve your life. Who is this young kid growing up, part of life, experiencing all of the tough battles, watching people thrown off buildings as a little boy, violence surrounding him? Failure is not an option.